welcome. We're looking today at the Cart Extreme Mod for Automobilista. This is the 1998 kart season, and we are going to look at all four chassis and I think three of the different engine manufacturers. So starting up, we have the Reynard chassis with the Honda engine. We're doing the beginning of the lap here at Fontana. And I think of all the chassis, the Reynard is my favorite. You will see here that under drafting, and it might just be a setup issue, but it tends to get a little loose, just like right there. But I find that this was the easiest chassis for me to set up. I was quickest in this chassis, and this track combination in car is just absolutely fantastic. I've got the AI at 104% here, so it's fairly challenging, although we're still able to outpace them as far as closeness to reality. I was within 1/10 of a second of real world lap times at Fontana, and it was just a blast. These cars were meant to go fast, and you can see here we're doing 205 through the corners, and I think up to 240 I got once or twice here. So just a really fun car, really fun track. I'll let you listen to some of the engine sounds here for a few seconds before we move on to Long Beach. Alright, so we are in the Swift chassis here with the Ford Cosworth engine combination, running the 1990s version of the Long Beach circuit. So you'll notice that if you go to watch the Indy Grand Prix of Long Beach, it is a much longer circuit now. And I'll be the first to admit I'm not very quick at this circuit, and I'm not very quick with these cars at the road courses in general. I think it's a setup issue, but they're still buckets of fun. So instead of racing a race weekend here, we've got it set up as a private testing session. And these cars were the headliner for the Long Beach Grand Prix until the dissolution of the kart franchise. And just a ton of fun. There's nothing quite like running 180 miles an hour through city streets before you break down to first gear corner and run through the hairpin here. I'm running just a lot of wing and a lot of steering lock here, but the cars still put a lot, especially under acceleration. As you can see there, when you have 800 plus horsepower, it's kind of hard to put that power down coming out of a hairpin like that. The Reynard was probably my second fastest chassis that I ran here. It's I think my second slowest lap at Long Beach was, or second fastest, I'm sorry, was with the Reynard chassis, but altogether a pretty neutral chassis. Didn't really favor oversteer or understeer or anything like that. So I'll kind of let you guys observe here for a few minutes as I go through the streets of Long Beach. And now we're in the Penske Mercedes. This is the only chassis that was built directly by the team that fielded it with the Mercedes engine. And we're at the Emerson Fittipaldi Speedway, which is in Rio de Janeiro. It's a oval version of a longer road course, and this was quite the course. It was not very quick here. I'll be the first to admit. And I'm positive this is a setup issue. This is a course that's not a traditional oval in the sense that it's very flat. It's got a trapezoid shape, as you can see here as we run down the backstretch. The Penske was a car that I struggled with. It tends to favor understeer, especially on the road courses, so I couldn't quite ever dial in the setup, especially at Long Beach or some of the other tighter road courses like Laguna Seca, in order to get any sort of competitive lap times. On the ovals, I was decently quick, but still it was a car that tended to be a little bit harder to drive, and it was fast and powerful, but still harder to drive. And as long as we're just got some time here, you can watch and listen as I drive, but I'm going to kind of give my opinions about Automobilista as a platform for this mod. With the new updated physics, the cars are much easier to catch in a slide, especially if you have a lower steering lock on. And the game is just beautiful. I've got the graphics in the car turned down a little bit, so some of the writing inside the cockpit's a little harder to read, but the game runs pretty well. One thing is that you can't really run fraps if you're recording at the same time, so you need to use something like shadow play, which is what I'm using to record here. But overall, it's a pretty well optimized game. The stock content is just fantastic, and the modding scene is really growing as the game has been out for a little while now. And Automobilista, it's built on the ISI motor, heavily modified to include things like flat spots and dynamic racing lines, and all kinds of great things like that. You can visually see tire pickup, and really, if you are into racing, especially open wheels, stock cars, anything like that, this would really be a game that you should be picking up, and I highly recommend it. And I'll let you finish out this last lap at Emerson Fittipaldi Speedway before we move on to our last chassis, the Lola, and we'll be moving on to Homestead Speedway. Alright, we are on to our last car track combination here. We're running the Lola with the Ford Cosworth engine at Homestead Miami Speedway. And this is a track that I found recently on the race department forums within the last couple days. And as soon as I booted up, really have enjoyed my time on this track. It's a bucket of fun. And once the setup was worked out with this car, it initially oversteered a lot. But once I got the setup in, I was really able to kind of start turning some pretty quick laps and really have enjoyed this car track combination. The AI is a little slow. I'm not sure if that's due to the fact that this is an R-Factor port, which was made into a GameStop Cart Extreme track, which was made into an Automobilista track, but at any rate, I had to turn it up a little bit. It's at 105 here, and I'm still pretty easily outpacing them, but I'd at least made them so they weren't moving chicanes. And really just, like I said, a bunch of fun. As far as this mod as a whole, I've really enjoyed it. I've ran it at track, multiple road courses. I've ran it at Laguna Seca, Montreal, the Long Beach street course that you guys saw earlier. And really the mod just runs well. All the cars are unique, they all have their own handling characteristics, and just the sheer number of different car, engine, and tire combinations is just crazy. The graphics, like I said earlier, are turned down a little bit so you can't quite see all the detail inside the cockpits, but each one of the cockpits is extremely well detailed. There's a lot of tracks out here if you want to look for them, even oval tracks, and as well as the road courses. And if you are a fan of kart racing, if you're an owner of Automobilista, thinking about Automobilista, I really highly recommend you pick up both Automobilista and this mod. And really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me talk as I drive in circles, and hope you have a great day. Thanks.